Hi guys, this is Ian back with another live stream, and welcome to my live stream. And in this live stream, I'm going to compare two IEMs today, and that would be the Leah, which is this one right here, and the Hot Mirror. Okay, so yeah, it's a pretty comparable IEM, and I'm going to compare it by listening to a few songs, again, a few songs, and then I'll give it a score, and I will then decide which one I prefer more. But before I begin, just a disclaimer, this video or this live stream in comparison is more for entertainment. It's not a deciding factor, and also it is based on my preference, right? So and it may be different from yours. Okay, so let's just begin. Okay, so before I begin, let's just go through the specs of each IEM. So the first one I would describe, let's take a look at the specs. Yeah, okay, so this is the Tropowin, and it's a single dynamic driver. It's got an impedance of 32 ohms and sensitivity of 105, and the frequency response is 20 to 20,000 ohms hertz. Okay, and it's retailing for 26 US dollars. Okay, so yeah, pretty cheap for this. And then we have the hot mirror. So the hot mirror is retailing for 41 US dollars. So it's pretty expensive as compared to the Leas. And for this, same thing, it's got a single dynamic driver, and it's got an impedance of 32 as well, and the sensitivity is 106, and the frequency response range is 15 to 40,000 hertz. So this one has got a higher frequency, right? So these are the two, right? So I'm gonna listen to 3 songs, and then I'll give it a score. Right, let's go to my scoring page. So as you can see, I have lined up 3 songs, and the first song would be Don't Stop Me Now by Queen. Right, and then the next song, excuse me, next song would be Memories by Kezia, and the third song will be Always Be My Baby by Mariah. Right, so first up would be the Leas, right? Let me see. Before I begin, let's see. Okay, right, so first up would be the Leas, right? Okay, Leas in my ears. Let's fire up the song. Okay, let's go. Don't Stop Me Now by Queen. Yep. Okay, so Freddie is forward as per my last audition with it, and very bright. Okay, so the pianos, so the build up to the song where the backup singer comes in and with together with Freddie, it sounds a bit harsh to me. Okay, and by the way, I'm listening at 50% volume on my deck, the Zen i5 Zen Deck 2. and I would feel that the tone and the timbre of uh, the Leas is a little bit on the lighter side. Freddie sounds forward, definitely very forward, very bright. Okay, it's very bright to a certain point whereby it's very energetic. Freddie sounds very energetic, and man, sometimes it's a bit harsh to me for this song, especially when the backup singers, comes in, and yeah, and there's no bass. All right, basically when the drum comes in, you can hardly feel the impact of the bass. You can hardly, yeah, the bass is not forward. You can't really feel that bass. You can't hear that rumble, and yeah, wow. And electric guitars in. So electric guitar is it sounds really energetic, when it starts jamming. So yeah. Okay, so let's pause the song. Before that, let's give it a score. So I'll give it a 3 out of 5 for the bass, sub bass. Maybe a 3 out of 5 from the mid bass. Um 3.5 for the mids, and treble 3.5. Okay. And the soundstage is like in my head kind of soundstage. It's not a deep soundstage. Yeah. So I'll give it a 3 out of 5. And detail is pretty good. I'll give it a 3.5. Ooh. Okay, hang on. Let me just pause my song. Yeah. All right. So that was the Leas. Okay, so Tropowin Leah. Let's move on to the next IEM, which is the hot mirror. All right. All right, so I have the hot mirror right here. And let's put it in the ears. Oh. Okay, so hot mirrors in the ears, and let's reset the song for Don't Stop Me Now. And let's go. Okay, so immediately I can tell that the Leah is in terms of Freddie's voice. Okay, Freddie sounds harsher than the hot mirror, and is more gentle in terms of the treble, in terms of the vocals. The backup singers, they don't sound as harsh, and the snares and the cymbal strikes, they sound very pleasing, to be fair. And Freddie don't sound as forward as the Leas, and definitely not as sharp. Okay, it doesn't sound as sharp as the Leas. At the same time, it sounds a little bit laid back, not as forward as the Leas. It's got a wider sound stage, a deeper sound stage. Okay, so in terms of mid bass and the sub bass, they both don't have that kind of forward type of mid bass and sub bass. So in terms of the bass department is, yeah. But in terms of the mids, I would say that the Leas they sound a bit more engaging, more energetic. Treble as well. The cymbals on the Leas, they sound more energetic and more engaging, and it's obviously is harsher. Is not as engaging on the Heart Mirror. Okay, so I probably will give this a 3 for the Heart Mirror in terms of the treble. But Soundstage is more out of the head. It's got a deeper soundstage. The sound separation is almost the same, but I would think, yeah, details. I think the Leas has got a better detail retrieval in terms of the, sometimes as the pianos in the background, I can hear it clearer than the Heart Mirror. So I'll give the Heart Mirror 3 out of 5 for detail retrieval and resolution as compared to the Leas. Okay, so let's pause the song. Okay, so if you guys have just joined in this live stream, so what I'm doing is I'm comparing two IEMs, and as the Tropowin Leas versus the Heart Mirror. So I've just listened to the first song, and what you're looking at now is the score. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next song, and that would be Memories by Kezia, right? And I'm going to switch to the Leas. Okay, right, Leas in the ears. Oops, wrong side. Okay, right. So after this audition, after I listen to all these songs, I'm going to, yes, this is really live. Galileo of Dust. Yeah, this is really live, right? So, all right. So the Tropowin Leas are in my ears, and I'm gonna move on to the next song, and that would be Kezia, Memories by Kezia, and let's go. This is an instrumental song, mostly violins and pianos, and let's go. Okay, so in the beginning of the song, you can hear the violin scratching of the violins, which I'm using Apple Music high res. Okay, so the violins has come in, and then there is the bells in the background. Is pretty clear. The violins, they sound very forward, especially the main violin. A little bit of bass. There's double bass in this song, so the double bass sounds pretty present. Okay, and the rumble is good. Okay, so I can the rumble does the sub bass. The rumble of the sub bass is quite extended, and not much of an impact of the mid bass. So for this song, I would give, because I can hear a bit of the bass now, so I'll probably give a 3.5. Impact of the mid bass is not impactful. Violins, they sound really forward, so I'll give 3.5 for that. Now, okay, so for the treble, because there's not much of a snare or a cymbal strike on this song, so bells. All right, so one part of the song you can hear the bells, right? So it's very bright, very forward. And violins, sometimes when they go to the higher octaves, they do sound energetic. So violins, I would feel they sound pretty energetic on this song, so I'll give it a 3.5 for this. Now, soundstage is more of in your head type of soundstage, not a really wide soundstage. And the imaging is okay. Imaging is fine, is good. I can hear the secondary violins on this side. Of course, the main star of the show, which is the main violins in the middle, somewhere in the middle of my head. You got the violins on this side, the bells on this side. So imaging is good, but soundstage I would feel is not as deep. Uh, it's not a really deep type of soundstage. Detail retrieval is good. Okay, right. So let's just pause this song and move on to the next IM, which is the Heart Mirror. Yes, please try these songs with your earphones and see what you hear. Okay, so I'm gonna move on to the Heart Mirror. And ooh, sorry about that. All right. Okay, so Heart Mirror in the ear. Okay, so I'm gonna replay this song and then I'm gonna compare and see what's the difference. All right, so Heart Mirror in my ear. Let's go. Memories by Kezia. Right. Okay, so the beginning is the scratching of the violin is okay. Instruments wise, I think these two IEMs are pretty similar in terms of the forwardness, but I feel okay. So I think the upper treble on this or the lower treble on this is pretty good. It sounds forward, and somehow the tone and the timbre on the of the Heart Mirror, they sound more correct as compared to the Lias. On my scoreboard, I don't have tone and timbre, but in terms of the violins, they sound more correct. So I would give this a better score for the mids. And okay, so the mid bass and the sub bass, the Lias has got a more forward mid bass and sub bass as compared to the Heart Mirror. The impact on the mid bass is not as impactful as the Lias on the Heart Mirror, and there is no rumble. I don't hear any rumble in those. There's double bass on this song, but I don't hear it. I don't hear the rumble on the Heart Mirror, but I do hear it on the Lias. Okay, so in this song, there's also the bells, the tinkering of the bells, and the tinkering of the bells, I would say, it sounds more correct, sounds more real, more natural. So treble wise, I would give this a higher score. Now, there's also snapping of the fingers, so sounds wider. The soundstage sounds wider. Imaging is good. So I would give the soundstage a little bit more for this. And imaging is pretty good as well. So detail retrieval and resolution, yeah, I don't hear much difference for that. Okay, so let's pause the song. Okay, so let's move on to the next song. All right, so Gay Leo, I feel like buying Dunu Titaness. I use Aria right now. Now I feel comfortable. Yeah, not sure if Dunu will hurt my ear. The bright signature, want to try it really. Yeah, well, if you are used to the Arias, the Dunu is going to be definitely brighter, and it's a matter of getting used to brightness of an IM. Once you are used to that, then you'll feel that it sounds better. Okay, so next would be the Arias. Sorry, not Arias. Next will be the Tropowin Leah, and the last song that I'm gonna listen to is "Always Be My Baby" by Mariah. And this song does, the opening of the song will have a lot of bass, so let's see if I can hear it on this Leah's. Let's go. So, okay. So Mariah sounds pretty forward. Okay, so I can hear that rumble. There is that rumble on the. Sorry. There is that rumble. So, yeah, pretty good. That's. Okay, so not much of an impact for this. Not much of an impact. So sub bass, mid bass. That rumble somehow sounds a little bit thin. The mid bass sounds a little bit thin as well, a bit thin and light, a bit dry. But Mariah sounds forward. Yeah, pretty good. Okay, so I'll give it a 3.5 for the mids. Instruments in the mids sounds forward, clear, though it's a bit thin. Yeah, it sounds a bit thin, but it's all right. I'll give it a 3 for the treble. Soundstage sounds a bit closed in. Again, not a very wide soundstage. Yeah. Okay, so sounds as before, so I'm gonna give it a 3. And detail retrieval, pretty okay. Let me just listen a little bit more for that details, the micro details that I'm looking out for. Yeah, so I think the cymbal strikes are pretty clear. So I'll just give it a 3.5 for the detail retrieval and the resolution. Right, let's pause the song and move on to the next IM, which is the Heart Mirror. Let's see. Obed Boes Sanchez, will you review the Ola? I think it will be a good comparison to the Leah and Heart Mirror. Yes, I've already reviewed that. I've already done comparison, so you might want to watch that video. I compared the Leah and the Olas, right? So, okay, so next IM would be the Heart Mirror and Always Be My Baby. And let's go. All right, so let's reset the song and just listen to Mariah, Always Be My Baby. Let's go. So immediately I can hear that the pianos, they sound more natural as compared to the Leah's. It's got a warmer tone, but so the rumble of the bass is not as extended and it's not as impactful as but it sounds more correct. So I would give it, I'll give it a bit more, right? Even though it does not have that impact, does not have that extended rumble, but it sounds more correct. Ooh, and Mariah just started singing, and Mariah sounds more forward, sounds more natural. Yeah, okay, so I'll give it a bit more for that. Now, treble wise, I would say is almost the same for this song. Yeah. Okay. I think the treble is a little bit more cleaner on this song. Sounds a bit more cleaner. And again, it sounds more correct as compared to the Leah's. So I'll probably give it a bit more. Okay, so soundstage and the imaging. Okay, so in this song, there's a lot of tapping of the cymbals, snares, and background singers. So I can pinpoint where they are. Mariah's obviously in the middle, and it's got a wider soundstage, and the cymbal strike sounds a bit more separated as compared to the Leas. So I'll probably give it a bit more. Okay. Detail retrieval. This is gonna be a bit hard, but yeah, I think it's almost the same. I can't really hear the difference for the detail retrieval and resolution. They sound almost the same to me. Okay, so let's pause the song, and that concludes my A/B testing of these two IEMs. Let's take a look at the scoreboard. Okay, so in terms of sub bass, right? I think sub bass, the Tropowin Leas has got a little bit more forward sub bass, but the hot mirror, they sound more correct in terms of the tone and the timbre. The Leas, they sound a little bit dry for the sub bass and the mid bass as well. So in terms of the mid bass, it does have a bit more impact. But I think to me, I would prefer a more correct tone, a more natural tone. So I would give the bass to the hot mirror. Okay. Mids. Okay, so mids. Oh man, this is gonna be a bit hard. So again, the hot mirror do sound a little bit laid back. Okay, as compared to the Leas. Leas, they sound forward. Instruments, they sound more natural on the hot mirror. They sound more correct on the hot mirror. And to me, correctness is more important than being forward and being harsh. So I would give again the mids to the hot mirror. Treble. All right, so treble, the Leas, they do sound brighter, right? To my ears, right? They sound brighter, but the lower treble, the hot mirror sounds more forward, and they sound more correct. So cymbal strikes, they have a better extension, a more better roll off, and sounds more natural to me as compared to the Leas. So again, I'll give the treble to the hot mirror. Yeah. Soundstage, without a doubt, I'll give the soundstage to the hot mirror. Right. Soundstage and imaging is almost comparable, right? Both of them do have very good sound separation and imaging, but in terms of soundstage, I would give it to the hot mirror. The detail retrieval and resolution, honestly, I can't tell the difference, right, between the two of this. In terms of resolution, they sound almost similar. Detail retrievals, I can hear the micro details on both of this. Let me just change up to the bigger screen. There you go. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, in terms of the detail retrieval and resolution, I think both are pretty good. So overall, okay, I would pick the hot mirror just because this sound more correct, sounds more natural, sounds better to my ears, I would say. Right, the two of them, they don't have much bass, right? The bass is really controlled, and in the mix, it's just barely there. Okay, the main focus is the mids and the treble, and yeah, this one is my choice, and which is a hot mirror. I do enjoy listening to vocals on this, and the instruments as well. Not too much on the rock and hard rock, well, metal rock. If you take a look at the score, the Hot Mirror didn't really score really well for the first song, so I didn't really feel, or I didn't really get much emotional response for that first song. But down the next two songs, yeah, this one sounded better, which is a Hot Mirror. Okay, so that concludes my comparison between the Leas and the Hot Mirrors. And yeah, so let's move on to some of the Q&A if there is any. If you guys have any questions, now is the time to ask me, and then we can end the live stream. Right? Just give it a while. Okay, so if there's no questions, that concludes my live stream. All right, so thank you so much, guys, for watching my live stream of the comparison between the Leas and the Hot Mirror. And I hope this live stream and entertain you guys, and at the same time you learn something from this live stream. And if you did, do consider to subscribe to my channel, and yeah, click on the like. Right, so that concludes my live stream. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys again in my next live stream. Cheers.